Hello, I'm Dr. Antonio Elinon. My background is in finance project delivery, SQL, and Excel automation. My doctoral research in accounting and management at Macquarie University focused on how technology innovations spread. And today, I'll bring that lens to Excel reporting. In this session, I'll show you two things. First, how the free D4E Standard Edition can help the Excel community run instant SQL flash reports. Second, how the Advanced Edition with AI opens up entirely new ways of working inside Excel, going beyond what even tools like Power BI or Copilot can do. In Part A, I'll play two short videos that cover the essentials of the free edition, introducing D4E Standard Edition and running your first SQL tutorial with invoices and payments flash report. These two give a practical demonstration of how business users can run reconciliations and flash reports directly in Excel without installing anything beyond a free workbook. Let's begin. Hello and welcome. Today I'm introducing you to D4E, or Data Mart for Excel. D4E comes in two versions, Standard and Advanced editions. In this video, we'll focus on the Standard version, which offers a streamlined interface for collaboration between SQL developers and business users. In the Standard version, there is no task pane or ribbon icons. Instead, we use the Add-ins menu in the command bar to interact with D4E. We'll take a closer look at the My Tools menu and the Run SQL Versions menu for executing SQL queries and more. Let's start by opening a sample Excel file that contains several SQL queries. In this file, we have 5 columns, each with a different SQL query ready to run. We'll use these queries to demonstrate how D4E works in the Standard version. The queries contain placeholders like branch 1 and branch 2. D4E can automatically replace these placeholders with the actual data from those files. Let's now move on to how we handle these placeholders. Now we'll demonstrate how D4E replaces placeholders in the SQL queries. For example, branch 1 and branch 2 will be replaced by the actual file name and row data in which we can see from Notepad here. This allows you to dynamically run queries without editing the SQL each time. The replacement process is handled automatically by D4E, which makes it easy for business users to work with SQL data without needing to manually change the queries. At the same time, it lets the SQL developer allow changes to the SQL tailored to each business user. Note how the file replacement feature can be used as an advanced security feature. Using Windows Security, branch 1 file can be made available only to certain users, and similarly with branch 2. This way, the results are automatically tailored depending on the user's Windows profile. With the placeholders available, let's run the query using the add-ins menu. In the standard version, the SQL developer can test using the Get Data table option to test the SQL. Here we'll run the query from column C, and as you can see, D4E seamlessly integrates SQL execution within Excel, allowing you to interact with your data without needing to leave the application. Let's now demonstrate how the business user actually runs the SQL created for him by the developer without seeing the SQL, so let's hide it for now. The business user goes to the Run SQL Versions submenu. This option is useful for SQL developers who want to manage different versions of their queries and make them available for business users. So by clicking here, the process is just as smooth. D4E automatically replaces the placeholders and executes the query, making it easy for users to get the data they need with minimal effort. In conclusion, as you've seen, D4E in the standard version provides a simple and effective way to execute SQL queries in Excel. It allows SQL developers to create and manage queries, while business users can easily run those queries through the add-ins. In the advanced version, we have even more features like macro recording, scheduling, and the Excel task pane, making it even easier for business users to interact with data. But for now, the SQL version offers all the essential functionality to get started. Thank you for watching. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to run the very first SQL reconciliation example using invoices and payments. This tutorial is packaged with the standard edition, so you don't need to set anything up. Just download the workbook and follow along. The first step is to download the standard edition from this web page. This is the standard edition as an XLSM file. When you download it, you'll notice that it comes as a workbook instead of an XLAM add-in. We provide it this way so you can open it straight away without needing to install anything in Excel. So we can now open it after renaming it to D4E free template.xlm. We can now open it in Excel. Here we have the XLM standard edition as a workbook with some tutorial examples. So we've opened the Excel file. This is a macro-enabled workbook. If it shows you some security warning, just click on Enable the macros. So you'll see some sample sheets. So we're interested in these invoices and docs payments, as well as the SQLs we will see. And in this sheet, we have some tutorial descriptions. So let's start by running the first tutorial, which uses a D4E Python routines running on tab sheets. The D4E routines are implemented using SQL-like code imported in Python. So these are your two sheets that you will read using SQL. So in this tutorial guide, we can follow the examples and instructions. First, we can see that we simply need to open the workbook, which we've already done. And we're not going to save any files yet. We'll do that in another tutorial. So we're ready to run it. So from here, we go to the add-ins, My Tools, and the first thing we do is to create some menus. So we created some menus, so now we are ready to run them. So the next step is to run some of the menu items we created. So we go back to add-ins, and we here run SQL versions, and there we have some tutorials that we have just set up. So these tutorials or these menu items refer to SQLs. The SQLs can be found in the sheets, which are individual columns of SQL. So this is what we actually created when we clicked on Get Menu. And we are now ready to run them. So the first tutorial, which we will run right now, is really to read the invoices and payments sheets. From these two payment sheets, we'll read that, and then it will simply create a report. And this is the result of reading these two invoices and payments. What it is actually reading the invoices, reading the payments, and joining them to be able to come up with a report like this, which is saying for each customer how much was invoiced, how much was paid, and how much still has to be paid. So it is a very useful flash report of invoices and payments. So that's tutorial number 1. There is another report we can run under tutorial number 1, which is a similar report. Let's just do that now. And this is the result of that SQL. So that SQL is simply another report of when the last invoice date or when the last payment date was made. Note that that last menu was simply executing this SQL here. And the same thing, that this was the SQL being executed. And in this SQL, we have some driver indicating that we should use some sheets in this current active workbook. And somewhere here, we nominate what sheet we wanted to read. From here, from docs payments, for example, you can see he's trying to read and join these two tabs. Okay, so that's tutorial number 1. Let's now go to tutorial number 2. If you want to clean up what you've been doing, you can use this command, My Tools, Remove Sheets, and therefore you're ready to start on tutorial number 2. This tutorial number 2 demonstrates ODBC CSV, wherein instead of reading the sheets from the data from sheets within the active workbook, let's assume they are actually CSV files. So in here, we follow this preparation step. We actually copy these two tab sheets onto a CSV file. So as soon as you've done that, you would be able to continue with tutorial number 2. So in tutorial number 2, we have assumed that we've copied this on earlier, and we should now be ready to run the menu. So we can run get menu again, but one is enough. So we can actually start running tutorial number 2, which is, according to this, is another report that reads the CSV file. So by clicking on this, we have tutorial number 2 giving practically the same results. But if you go, and let's do another tutorial number 2 report. Let's try and run this. And this should be another report, which is simply to look at all the payments and invoices. So if you look at sales, we were actually executing the SQL in column C and the SQL in column D. So column D is a simple demonstration SQL. It's just listing the payments and the invoices one after the other. Whereas here, again, we are seeing that we are reading the SQL, the data from CSV, and this is the ODBC driver that tells us where to get the data. This is where we saved it, and therefore this SQL, if you look at the from, it is actually referring to the CSV file in that folder, C10D4E. That is why we saw it working with this data. So now that is tutorial number 2. So let's try and do tutorial number 3 this time, wherein we're running the two CSV files slightly differently, wherein we've already saved them. We'll read them again. This is now our tutorial number 3. We will execute these 3 SQLs. So let's have a look. So let's also clean up before we could start tutorial number 3. And in tutorial number 3, we want to execute the first SQL, which is to simply read the payment. It's slightly different. What's happening is that we're assuming we're reading the payments first, and then next we're reading the invoices and bringing them into in our active workbook. So we now have 2 active workbooks, and then we can now run the third report in the tutorial, which is to read what we have uploaded into our active workbook. And therefore, this gives us the reconciliation between invoices and payments. Let's step back and see what we actually did here by looking into the SQL. We ran 3 reports. This one is simply to create the payment. This one is simply to create the invoice. And this last one is actually to read both. So you see, in our SQL, this is simply reading a CSV and putting it into the spreadsheet. And then the third one is reading both data that we have actually created. So that is why the name of the from is actually the name of the sheets that we have created. So we created a sheet, and this is what we were trying to read now. And therefore, effectively, we did a reconciliation between invoices and payments. Slightly different from our first tutorial because we were importing the data into our spreadsheet. What is that saying? That it simulates actually the invoices may come from very different DBMS. For example, the invoices may come from Oracle, and then the payments will come from SQL Server. And yet, what you've done is you put them in your active workbook and then read them off together in your active workbook. You wouldn't normally be able to read simultaneously from an Oracle database and an SQL and then join it with a table from a Microsoft SQL Server database. So only by going through this method are you able to join the two. So, in summary, we've seen three ways to run the same reconciliation SQL. First, by reading the invoice and payment sheet directly into inside the workbook, and second, by exporting them to CSV and aggregating them using ODBC. And then third, a slight complicated way, by reading any external files from using ODBC or Python, and then once they're in the spreadsheet, only then can you join them. That's the end of this tutorial. You now know how to open the workbook, enable macros, and run SQL to reconcile invoices against payments using Sheets, CSV, or ODBC. Thank you very much. So that was part A, which was all about the standard free edition of D4E. In part B, we move into the AI-enabled advanced edition. I'll show 3 videos: the built-in AI assistant, a plain English to clickable SQL apps with AI and D4E, and third, plain English to Excel action using on-the-fly VBA. These examples demonstrate how natural language can drive SQL generation, build instant Excel apps, and even create VBA code live inside Excel, capabilities not available anywhere else today. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to Mart for Excel. Today we will introduce the AI assistant for D4E. In this video, we'll show you how to use the built-in AI assistant to generate SQL code directly from natural language. There are 2 ways to invoke the AI assistant. The first way is to use the command help me. For example, here we enter into the submit window and click submit. The AI assistant will analyze your request, generate a valid ODBC connection string, and create the SQL and paste it into your sheet instantly. There are some messages that may be relevant from the AI assistant, but generally this is a correct SQL that you can finalize. After finalizing the SQL code and creating a menu, the business user can run it through the menus. As you can see, a menu has been created for that particular SQL that was auto-generated by the AI assistant. Note that the Help Me mode is included in your subscription, but limited in usage per month. If you want unlimited usage, there is another mode that you can switch to called the I want to command. You can use this mode by setting your own Open API key. To supply your own API key, you use the command set API, wherein your API key is supplied by your company. In this mode, you will be able to use the AI assistant without any usage limitation. For example, you can submit this and it will analyze and create another SQL for you. And the same SQL can be made available to your end users. With I12, power users and professionals can access the full potential of AI-assisted SQL generation without limits. Whether you're a business analyst or a data pro, the D4E AI assistant makes SQL easy. Try Help Me for a quick assist or unlock full AI power with I12. And that is it. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome. Today we're going to explore how to use AI inside D4E to connect to a database, extract its schema, and build SQL applications that business users can run with just a click. This session will be useful for SQL developers who want a quick way to prepare ready-to-run queries for end users, and business users who may want to run those queries without touching SQL. In this session, we will create an ODBC connection using AI without needing to remember driver syntax or connection details. Extract the database schema using AI-generated SQL query and save it for future use. Then load the schema into D4E so AI can write highly accurate queries based on the real database structure. By the end of this session, you'll see how AI and D4E work together to remove the guesswork from SQL development, how developers and business users can collaborate using the two-tier methodology, and then how to create a complete menu-driven SQL application in minutes. So now let us begin. So from this session, we start by giving an AI command wherein we want to extract the schema, or rather we want to create an SQL that will extract the schema. From here we can see an SQL has been created based on the AI suggestion for our database, and this we can now execute using one of the menu options. We execute it first by setting up the menu. And we click on this, and we have to begin with an SQL created by the AI that we will submit. So the same SQL that the AI just created, we have executed here, and it has now produced a result which is in fact the schema that we were after. So we need to give the schema to D4E and to the AI so that for when we ask for more SQL, he can use the schema. So to do that, let's introduce this to the D4E by renaming it as this sheet name. From here on, D4E and the AI can use this as a schema. We can now proceed with more AI commands. In this case, we want to ask the AI to now give us some useful business SQL or business extracts. Here we're saying to create an SQL to show some rental summary from our database. So first we create the SQL. And when it's done, AI would have generated the SQL. And we can see it has created this SQL. Let's try and execute this and see how it works. In here, it is actually executing well, and it is asking for parameters. We've actually asked for a parameter for the last name, and we can now submit and execute this SQL. So as you can see, the SQL works, that was created, and it produces the report that we are after. And just for the next step, we can now prepare the menus for the business user to use. As you can see, we have actually created menus, and we have here two menus. This was the last SQL created, it is now in a menu. It was the first SQL we created, which was actually just to get some schema information. And we can continue making more SQLs, business-like SQLs or business useful SQLs, and then we can continue and then create menu items for them. To recap, when a business user takes over this application, he only needs to use the menu here. We created the SQL using English-like conversation with AI. AI then assembled the correct SQLs for us, and D4E easily transformed the SQLs to menu-driven apps. The business user then takes over to execute apps without SQL skills. That's all, and thank you very much. Hello, and welcome to Mart for Excel. Today, I'm going to show you how AI can read plain text and turn it into immediate Excel action. This is done by AI generating on-the-fly VBA that D4E executes straight away. So not only do we write VBA, but we also run it instantly inside Excel using natural language. After this session, you'll see how the D4E AI assistant can help Excel users do things that go beyond what Copilot can currently achieve. We'll do this 3 quick demos: copying sheets, exporting CSVs, and emailing flash reports. Let's begin. First, let's start with standard version that was downloaded in XLSM format. We've already done a video to demonstrate the tutorial for the standard version of D4E. In this session, we'll use the advanced version of D4E to show advanced features such as the AI assistant, but also using the same workbook template found in the standard version, which is the XLSM file. This file. I already have the workbook called D4E free template.xlsm open, along with a blank active workbook. I'll ask AI in plain English to copy all the sheets from the original template into this active workbook, which is an XLSX file. The reason for this is so that we can close the standard version and use only the advanced version, and there is no confusion. The command is here in the submit window. It's saying using VBA code, copy all sheets from the already open workbook into this active workbook. So let's click submit and see what happens. Here in the message it is saying it is calling the AI assistant, and it is finished. And in the log messages you can see that it has executed. First it has created a VBA code. There is the VBA code, which you can capture and save if you want. And this is the log messages of how that was executed. And it's giving you messages that it was successfully completed. As we can see from here, this is the same tutorial that was in the original, but this time it's in an XLSX format. So what in the next steps, we will now try to run the tutorial. So AI, as we've seen, generated the VBA automatically, and D4E ran it, and all the sheets of the template were copied. So now, in one easy step, using AI in plain English, we've replaced multiple Excel keystrokes that would normally be error-prone. Since we've copied the sample data, we don't have to use the XLSM file. To recap this first demo, we have simply used plain English in AI to execute Excel actions to copy sheets from another workbook. In the next demo, we'll clear the logs, then we'll save some sheets as CSV files using AI. In the original tutorial, we were asked to copy 2 sheets into CSV as preparation for reading CSVs via ODBC. So we're following these preparation steps as asked by the tutorial, but this time we'll use AI rather than following the Excel steps. So we'll ask AI for assistance using this command. It says find the sheet doc payments and doc invoices, then save them as CSV by the same sheet name in a particular folder, which is basically what this instruction is asking. We know we have those 2 tab sheets here, docs invoice and docs payment. So this should be okay to succeed with AI. So let's click on submit and get AI to do the work. So AI is completed, and we can see it has on the logs, we can see on the bottom that VBA code was created over here, and it was executed successfully. As you can see, the VBA code was meant to say something was saved, and it was actually in the messages was actually executed that command to save those files. So it appears that the VBA code has executed, and the message says the CSV files have been saved. We can actually check from the folder that 2 files have recently been created. And so therefore, AI has successfully done what we have asked it to do, which is, bring it back here, that command. So, as you can see, AI finds those sheets, creates the VBA, and runs it. Then 2 CSV files are exported directly into the folder. Finally, let's clear the logs again and do our third demo, which is to show the flash report tutorial. In the original tutorial, we see we have prepared for the files, and so we are now ready to do this, wherein we will create a menu and we will run the flash report. The flash report is some summary report of invoices and payments which we have copied to the CSV file. So instead of clicking on this individually, let's show how we can run this command using a script. So using this script, where it says get menu, run SQL sales C, okay, and then we have 2 commands for AI. Help me find the sheet, which is the sales C, which is our report, and send the contents by email to this email address. And also, we're going to give another AI command to send the invoices as well as supporting documents to the final report. Our final flash report is coming from this command, and it's called Sales C. Well, let's have a look at what Sales C is about. Sales C is basically an SQL found in column C of the sales sheet, and in here you have a complex SQL actually, which is a join of the invoices and payments, but the net result is that it will produce a summary comparison of what's been invoiced and what's been paid and what is left or what is still due. Okay, and you can see this SQL is gonna copy or is gonna access a CSV files, those same CSV files that we have previously saved from this folder C10 T4T. So when we submit this script, it will basically do what the, the instructions in the tutorial ask us to do, except this time we'll do it in one go using AI. Let's click on this and see what happens. So AI or D4E has come back, and we can see that the flash report has been created because of the commands that we give. Let's bring up the command script again that we used. So as a result of get menu and as a result of this command, run SQL sales C, we end up with the flash report, which is basically asking to give us a variance of how much amount those invoice and still needs to be paid. Okay. However, we also ask AI to do some emailing for us. So if we look at the logs, we should see some messages to say that emails have been sent. There we go. Email sent successfully. And there were 2 emails to be sent. One was for the invoices, and another one was for the report. Email successfully sent. So it appears that the VBA, as you can see here, this is the VBA that sends the invoices, and D4E messages appear to say that the same VBA have been executed. So that's the second one. On the first one, here you have the VBA again to send the flash report. The first one was to send the flash report, and the second email was to send some supporting document. So we see that the email has successfully been sent. And so now let's go and check our email and see if we did get some reports. So here we've seen 2 reports or 2 emails. The first one was this, and it is actually the flash report that was been sent. And the second one is the supporting document, which is the list of invoices. So yes, we have successfully executed this AI command in the script. So as we can see in here, AI created a VBA, and again D4E executed it, and we've seen the logs to confirm. And we saw that the code, the VBA code itself, and the execution messages that confirm that the D4E ran the VBA successfully. To summarize, we've seen how AI can help Excel users execute real actions inside Excel via VBA. It should be noted that Copilot cannot do these actions because Copilot runs in a sandbox and is unable to perform many Windows operations such as saving files. Thank you. So that is our presentation. To close, I'll emphasize that this isn't about Excel replacing Power BI or ERP. It's about giving users instant AI-powered reporting options when speed and flexibility matter most. Flash reports succeed not just because of technology, but because people adopt them, and Excel remains a trusted platform for adoption. I may be available after the video to answer questions and discuss how these ideas might be applied to your organizations. Alternatively, you can send me email via the D4E website. Thank you.